are catching bats and collecting data from them for a variety of different projects, and also just having a lot of fun because we really like bats. Bats play key roles in all ecosystems in the world, well, not in the Arctic and Antarctic so much, but bats are worldwide and highly diverse. There's probably 125 species that live here. The Amazon forest is, one of the great ecosystems on the planet, and we have to understand the biology of the animals to be able to understand the threats to those animals, and also to understand the importance of those animals in the ecosystems in which they live.
This is kind of a hotspot for bat diversity. There's a decent chance that we'll be able to sample these animals across their evolutionary diversity as well as their ecological diversity. So it's really easy to use bats as a model to study a lot of different phenomena. So the people who are here with us working on this particular expedition have a range of interests, and this includes the diversity of bats, so how many species are there, how can we tell one species apart from another, people here who are interested in bat echolocation. In addition to that, we have people who are studying the things that live in and on the bats, such as myself, so I'm interested in the microbiome of the bats, which is the bacteria that lives in the gut, as well as the endoparasites, which live in that same physical space. And we also have another researcher who's interested in the ectoparasites, so the mites and the ticks and the fleas and the flies that live on the bats as well. The life of a bat biologist doesn't entail very much sleep, so typically we'll head out to the field to start setting up about 2 hours before dark, which in this part of the world is around between 6 and 6:30. And then we'll stay out, not all night, but probably until about 10 or 11 o'clock. While we're out in the field, we use 2 different kinds of traps to catch the bats. We use mist nets, which are very fine nylon nets that the bats can't perceive, so they fly into it, get tangled, and we untangle them. And then the other thing we have is the Harp Trap, which looks exactly like a harp. It's several panels of monofilament line that the bats fly into, they hit the line, and they tumble down into a canvas holding bag underneath where they're safe from the rain and from any predators.
I am currently sitting at one of the mouths of a big fallen tree hollow that has been occupied by at least 100 or so bats. And if you can see here, we've got I'm separated here by a very, very fine mist net that we've kind of wrapped all the way around this opening so that when the bats fly out, they get caught into this net and we can kind of just quickly grab them. So this is a very special kind of place in the rainforest because for bats in the tropics, their main limiting factor for where we can find them is roost availability. So where there are places for them to be during the day to sleep. So something like this where we've got a huge tree that fell a couple of years ago or however long and it started to decay and it's hollowed out, this is prime real estate for any kind of bat to just come in and have, ooh, there was one right there, but come in and be able to hang out. We've already caught at least 3 different species. We know for a fact there's another species in here that we haven't gotten yet, and there's probably more species within the interior of the hollow that we haven't seen yet. So the ideal situation is lots of bats and lots of species.
For me and my team who's interested in actually catching the animals and taking samples from those animals, bat flies or blood or whatever, we've been most of the day collecting samples. It takes a long time to pick all the flies off a bat, do wing punches, collect blood samples. So we pretty much work all day long as fast as we can collecting samples from each bat.
I'm here to get pictures of bats, including portraits, see how their faces look, but also flying bats. Portraits, we take a bat, hold it in a piece of velvet and just do a close-up picture of its face, getting the facial details and remembering that the bat's face may be no bigger than your thumbnail. To get the pictures of the flying bats, we have an infrared trigger. The bat breaks the trigger and sets off flashes which take the bat's picture. The pictures of the bats flying often show you details of what the bat is doing that you can't see when you're just looking at a bat in the hand. We find the same thing for the faces of bats. There's all sorts of interesting structures there that we don't really know the function of. So, broadly said, what we're doing is learning more about bats by getting really good pictures of what the bats look like when they're doing things.
La zona es interesante, si bien todo esto es límite o parte de un área de conservación donde se supone que para eso se ha levantado gran información sobre la biodiversidad existente. Creo que la parte referente a murciélagos tiene todavía mucho vacío de información. Entonces, esta expedición es la oportunidad ideal para recopilar toda esa información faltante que pueda no solamente incrementar lista de especies, sino también contribuir un poco a mejores medidas para conservación del lugar, no solamente de la sierra, sino toda esa parte de la Amazonía.
Well, the next step is to wait for our samples to come back into the United States. When the material comes back, it gets curated into our collections. We save samples in the museum so that they're then available for a variety of research projects, some of which we may not have thought of yet. But as new technologies come about, older samples become extremely useful. The Amazon forest is, one of the great ecosystems on the planet, and many aspects of these ecosystems are threatened by climate change and by human activities. And so understanding as much as we can about these forests and the animals and plants that live in them while we can is really important.